What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today we're breaking down some general advice as we prepare for Shadowbringers. It is obviously February right now at the time of this recording, and as we move forward, as March happens, as April happens, the hype is going to be building for Shadowbringers. And if you're new to Final Fantasy XIV, or if you've been here a long time and you've been through several expansions, essentially what I hope to do is break down what to look forward to and what to watch out for when it comes to preparing for any kind of expansion with any kind of game. Obviously, hype being a big deal, being something that can kind of motivate you to push yourself beyond your limits. And so the goal of this is to also kind of help you try to avoid burnout. Now, if you don't know what that is, some people, whenever I've done these in the past, say that they never get burned out, and that's amazing. I wish I had their skills, but as somebody who has a lot of things going on in their life, has a family, has a job, and loves to play video games, how do you balance all of this, especially with the excitement that a new expansion like Shadowbringers is going to obviously bring? So obviously this is more maybe even about scheduling. Like, pull up your calendars. We know that the release date is July 2nd. Early access, if you pre-order, is June 28th. So that's our goal. That's our deadline. And so here's the first tip. Don't prepare to return on the 28th of June. The reason is that hype for the game will be at an all-time high. We're going to be talking about it. There's going to be all kinds of media. There's going to be all kinds of interviews. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So you're going to naturally be drawn back into the game before you think about it. The first mistake I made was from Into Heaven's Word, is that I thought I was going to take the last 2 weeks before the game launched off just to go play another game. And what I found is that I didn't, because I was so excited. I couldn't wait for Heaven's Word. And so I made sure with Stormblood to make sure that it wasn't the last 2 weeks that I'm planning to schedule a time to play another game or a time to kind of just disconnect from this world. I wanted to make sure that I did that actually maybe even 2 weeks prior to that. So thinking 4 weeks out, planned some kind of game vacation with another game in a different kind of setting. Don't go play another MMO, another grindy heavy game. You can go play another RPG, catch up on your backlog, play something else. Like if you're really looking for a game that you haven't played and you haven't found the time because you're so busy preparing for Shadowbringers, well, try to schedule that time at least 4 weeks out from the expansion, because you want to give yourself some time to rest. You want to go do something else to give yourself some time to rest, because when Shadowbringers drops, not only do you have the race to 80, but you then have endgame, and there's going to be a lot of excitement as people gear up, as all the content comes out, and then obviously then the next patch, and then the next patch, and next patch. And what we do tend to find with a lot of players, some people are here for the story, some people are here for more. You can run into the case where you find yourself winded, and that's what I did. By the time I cleared the story and did some stuff in Heaven's Word, I ended up taking almost 4 months off of the game before I was actually really excited to come back and play, and that's fine too. Do not feel like you have to, can't take a break from the game. Is designed in such a way. So starting from now and obviously looking forward, we know that we just got some content that just dropped in February, and we have that in the form of Hydaros, and the new PvP map for Rival Wings. In March, we have the conclusion of the story. So that's going to be really exciting to kind of jump into that content. And then we also have the Japan Fan Fest, where we're going to get the final touches on the jobs and everything for Shadowbringers. That's going to be really exciting as well. April, we know we probably have the 15 crossover event and the world visit system. So there could be some instability there. You never know. And so just as far as that goes, April might be looking like a good time to kind of have a vacation if you're not caught up on your gear. I just finished recording and exporting my gear progression guide. So go check that out if you're trying to figure out where to fill in the gaps for what pieces of gear that you might be looking for. Hopefully that's a help to you anyway. But beyond that, April, May, June. We know that we're getting content in April. We know that we're going to probably get something in May, and then we're going to get something in June. We're going to have the media event. We're going to have all kinds of things that are going on. Plenty of stuff to talk about and dive into. But again, try to make sure you find some time to play another game, to kind of revisit your backlog, or to jump in something a little bit different, so that not when like I said, the hype brings you back into all of this, when you're so just like, man, I am ready to dive in, to go to the next chapter, to see the next thing. What do you need to do? So schedule time for a break, at some point, not the last 2 weeks. Just keep that in mind. finish the story. So if you are sitting here saying like, I'm behind, I've taken a break and I've now just come back with 4 or 5, make sure you get the story fully completed, getting it done, getting it knocked out. That's going to help you out. Now, let's talk about gear though. Gear in and of itself is important, but it's not the be all end all. If you're new, you'll know that around level 56 or 56, around level 76 or 77, you're going to start to find gear that's better than the gear that you have. And so now depending on that gear level, it's going to be slightly different. So don't feel like you have to have all 400s on all your jobs. Otherwise, you might feel really winded when Shadowbringers drops. But kind of pick and choose like what your gear level you want to be, and then look at the coming weeks to figure out how to make that happen. Right now, we're capped on 450. However, when usually probably about May, we're going to see them release that kind of weekly lockout in some kind of patch. Typically 4 weeks or something like that, just to allow people to not be capped, and that's on any kind of weekly lockout. And for your tomes and anything in the gear, so you can try to go fill in the pieces that you don't have. So don't feel like that's the be all end all. For me, my personal goal is I'm trying to get 200 Genesis tomes a week. That's enough content to kind of come in, do a little bit, and then go play other games like I'm playing right now. And so that's kind of my personal goal. So kind of set that goal, look at the calendar, what you need, how many tomes you need for what kind of pieces you're missing. And you can obviously go fill it in with Savage, Eureka, and other content like that. So the best thing I could tell you is make sure you're doing the content that you really, really enjoy. It's kind of a marathon into Shadowbringers, because while we're getting the part 2 of the story, while there's definitely content that we're going to be able to participate in, it's not like there is just a ton of content unless you're new. If you're new and you're still trying to get caught up, again, still try to make sure you take a break so that way you can go into Shadowbringers nice and strong and refreshed and ready to go. The other thing, the final piece that I want to kind of break it down as a tip here, we don't know how the launch is going to go. Last time we had a lot of DDoSing and a lot of issues, which if you're in early access and you're planning on taking off work, because at least in the United States, it's going to be a holiday with the 4th of July weekend as it all rolls into it. So that being said, that's actually probably at least better to take off this time around. But if you're ever trying to take off time for a online games launch, you could end up with some serious heartburn and some frustration. If we run into that, if you're watching this before it, and just to kind of prepare you, if for some reason we run into DDoS, find something within the game to do. I didn't wait at the Robon Extreme. I went off and did other things like Fates, Crafting a Gathering, and other kinds of content. Playing around with the new jobs is a really good example of what you can do if for some reason there's some kind of bottleneck. Now, with the world visit system and the data center split, hopefully that will keep that to the side. But I just wanted to mention that here. I wanted to kind of try to get the mindset for you guys to start preparing your schedules, as well as setting some realistic goals and obtainable goals, so that way you can look at the next 4 months, like what do you want to accomplish in the game, what do you have left to accomplish, and then also still to remind you, like, make sure you take some time off. Now, if you're in the camp that you never burned out on anything, honestly, I'd love to know how that's possible. I'm not doubting you. That's not a skill I possess. I try to make sure that you take breaks and things like that. So for me, most likely, at least 4 weeks out from the expansion, my plan is to, dive into something else and really not, think about 14, in game as much. Still, obviously, we'll cover any kind of news that we get our hands on, because, oh man, I'm excited for Shadowbringers. So as far as that goes, make sure, again, like I said, story, set your goals, plan a time to take a break, and then have as much fun as absolutely possible. Guys, I am so happy you were with us on this journey into Shadowbringers. It's going to be, I think, a really interesting next couple of years as we see what the future holds for Final Fantasy XIV. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns in the comments below. Looking forward to having that conversation with you. But for Work To Game, my name's Brian. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Hey, it's me. It's been a while since I talked to you guys directly this way, but don't tell anybody. We've got even more epic content planned for this channel. The response has been incredible. We hope to see you. If you're new, hit subscribe, leave us a comment. I'd like to talk to you more about video games. I can't seem to speak my language. All right.